And so they say, Joe, you got to go out and make a speech. And we're going to break down this speech because I find it interesting. Let's just go through it step by step. Cut 1.
We need the resources, the American Rescue Plan, and we need it urgently.
Okay, right off the bat, there was 2 things in that scared me.
Good start.
In American Rescue Plan, and we need it. Let me just hear that one more time. The urgently.
We need the resources, the American Rescue Plan, and we need it urgently.
It sounded a little bit like Namath there. Urgently.
Struggling.
It's a mix of Namath and Bruce Springsteen. Red, white, and blue. And then he talks about...
Red,
oh, no. Blue. Jared, you're too fast now. I don't like you getting all these cuts. This is cut 2.
But our goal is to do everything we can to help every educator receive a shot this month.
Right. So they switched up the plan and they decided that they are going to prioritize teachers to get the vaccinations because at some point, Joe Biden had to do something to fix what's happening with the teachers' unions. So our goal, either way is fine, is to get them the vaccinations. And now this one blows my mind. This is cut 3.
When do I think things will get back to normal? I've been cautioned not to give an answer to that because we don't know for sure. But my hope is by this time next year, we're going to be back to normal, and before that, my hope.
I'm going to give Joe a piece of advice, and he's clearly getting advice from a lot of people. But you probably shouldn't, as the commander-in-chief, be telling Americans that people in your camp are telling you what you can and cannot say, are cautioning you against just, telling people the truth.
That's transparency.
It strikes me as someone who's not actually making the decisions, dare I say. By the way, guys, 844-500-4242. We're going to be talking about this and a lot of other things. I think Andrew Cuomo is coming up soon on the news, so we'll take that live because we just can't miss that. Let's also play, I want to skip down here because I found this part really interesting. When he was asked about the border, there's a crisis happening at the border. And despite what Jim Acosta might try to tell you, this one is not a manufactured crisis. A lot of illegal immigrants know that Joe Biden is soft on immigration. And so, cause and effect, they decide, let's try it. It's not a bad plan. I don't really blame them, to be honest. And but the Biden camp cannot say that this is a crisis. So he's asked about being briefed on the border. And listen to his response. This is cut 6.
Did you receive a briefing about the border today?
Yes, I did.
What did you learn?
A lot.
Can you imagine if that was the answer Trump gave as his staff ushered him away into the back room, probably back into the basement of the White House? A lot. That's the answers we're getting now. And I know I say this all the time, guys, but it brings me such joy because the Caitlin Collinses of the world were so brutal to Donald Trump. They hated him. And he was their golden goose. He was the reason for their ratings. He was the reason for all of their fights back and forth, for making them household names. And they can't get a single answer out of this guy without his guardian swooping in and carrying him back into the basement of the White House. It's a beautiful thing. So he says a lot. He's been briefed on the border a lot, which makes me think of another story that I find kind of amazing because we're talking here about the lack of transparency in the Biden White House. And it says Biden administration won't allow media to tour migrant children facilities. Kids in cages. I'm sorry, Jared. I always do that. It's not kids in cages. Please
not.
Correct me, sir.
They are housing shelters for minor who have been sent here by loving parents.
Okay, I
can't even.
I really thought we were just going to go with shipping containers because that's really what.
Yes, they're shipping containers. Yes.
Biden administration won't allow media to tour migrant children facility. Do you want to know why, Jared? Do you want to know what it's due to?
Is it COVID?
It's COVID. Everything's COVID. COVID can be whatever you want it to be. So the media, who for so long were so scared of dictator Trump because he was crushing our free press. Now they can't go see the kids the children in the migrant facilities. So listen to this story from the Daily Caller. Members of the media will not be able to visit migrant detention centers holding minors near the southern border due to COVID-19. Reporters will not be allowed inside the Carrizo Springs facility for unaccompanied minors that was recently opened in Texas. The Office of Refugee Resettlement is not hosting media tours of unaccompanied children facilities currently due to the COVID-19 pandemic, a spokesperson said. If media tours resume, we will send a media advisory. Now, this is something I find kind of amazing because it really gives you an insight into why this grift and why this scam is never going to end. And I'm not saying that there's not a virus. I'm not. I understand a lot of people have died from it, and my heart goes out to those people, and I understand that some people have to be extra safe about it. I totally get that. But we're at a point now where we have a vaccine, and we keep moving the goalposts. And now this COVID-19 is becoming their excuse to do everything they've ever wanted, including keep the media away from the kids in cages because now they're in the White House. And I want to talk about that because COVID was the reason for mail-in voting. And COVID is the reason that Joe Biden can't do a State of the Union. And COVID is the reason for less press access. COVID is the reason that some of the media won't be able to get into the White House because they'll have to take COVID tests and they'll have to pay for COVID tests. And some publications probably aren't going to want to pay that for, multiple camera people.
That's a classy move, by the way, making the people who are covering you pay for their own tests.
Yeah. And virtual logs are no longer available. They're not being released. Again, something to do with COVID. COVID is the reason for your kids being out of school. COVID's the reason that they're bowing to the teachers' unions. It's the reason for all of these governors like Andrew Cuomo using their emergency powers and holding on to them for dear life. And you wonder why they don't want this thing to end. You wonder why Joe Biden gets out there and says, hopefully next year by this time, things will be back to normal. We have a vaccine. I feel like I have to keep repeating that. We have a vaccine. And they still want to make us believe this is going to go on forever. But those things I just listed, who do they all help? If Joe Biden's wearing a mask all day and we don't see his mouth, and he can't do press conferences, and reporters can't get in, and he can't do a State of the Union, and every election from here on out has to do mail-in voting because there's a new strain of this virus, and they can take away all of our rights because it's an emergency. Who does this help? Which party does this help? It helps the party that doesn't want to take any questions. It helps the party that doesn't want any transparency. It helps guys like Gavin Newsom who can't face the people they serve because he's a phony and a hypocrite. You think Ron DeSantis cares? Do you think he would go out in Florida right now and take questions from the press? He absolutely would, because he knows he did the right thing by his constituents. Gavin Newsom doesn't want to answer questions. Andrew Cuomo doesn't want to answer questions. Joe Biden doesn't want to answer questions. And this COVID is there out for everything. And if you don't see that, you're out of your mind. They want to talk about absolutely reckless. These past couple months have been absolutely reckless. Bob, you're next with Grace on the Grace Curley Show. Go ahead, Bob.
Hey, Grace, two things. First of all, congratulations to Texas and Tennessee for giving back the people their right to liberty to decide for themselves.
Texas and Mississippi, but I totally agree.
I'm sorry.
No, I totally agree, Bob. Go ahead.
Yep. And the second thing is, they're trying to shut the media down, and you're giving them ammunition when you use the term, the name Biden and the term unaccompanied minors in the same story. So you might want to be careful with that.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, thanks, Bob. I'll keep an eye out for that. I mean, I just can't get over the fact that they still think people are listening to them. Like people like Gavin Newsom, he's facing a recall election, and he still thinks, this is their ego, that people want to know what he thinks about Texas being able to take their masks off. P.S. Gavin, the reason you have a mass exodus from California is because people are going to Texas. And I saw somebody was saying, oh, we should be able to stop people from Texas from traveling to California. Don't worry. Don't worry. You don't have to worry about that. That's not happening anytime soon. One more call, and then I got to go here. Joseph, you're next with Grace on the Grace Curley Show. Go ahead,
Hey,
Joseph.
Grace, first time caller from. I've called you, the second time caller. The whole thing is ridiculous. The vaccine may or may not work. You don't have vaccines for virus. You take treatment. We should have opened up a long time ago. They're going to keep stalling. I agree with Howie. I agree with Jeff. On in the morning, I've got research that says masks don't work. This whole thing is sickening, and it's a disgrace. We have ruined the economy, and we got to do something, fight these people. And I like your comments. Thank you, dear.
Thank you, Joseph. And thank you very much. And please call back. Oh, he's a denier. He's a science denier. We got a lot of science deniers calling up today. I like it. I like it a lot. Guys, who says there's no such thing as a free lunch? Not me. Because with my friends at Aviva Trattoria, we'll be giving away a free lunch every other Friday here at the studio. I will be picking our winners this Friday for next week. And the spread they bring is always incredible. I mean, between the pizza, the salads, the sandwiches, the truffle chips. I swear, Jared, I dream about these chips. They're house-made. They are absolutely delicious. And all of their food is great. And they're also just awesome people. I mean, every week, Anthony and Marcy come in, and they are just the nicest folks you'll ever meet. My favorite's the chicken parmesan because I'm a classic kind of girl. But Jared, what's your favorite thing?
My favorite is still the farmhouse pizza. It's the pizza that's got the balsamic barbecue sauce. It's got chicken and leeks and bacon, some honey mustard drizzle. I've tried branching out, and everything else is great, but I just keep coming back to it.
That's the thing, too, because Marcy will say to me, like, you guys got to try new things. And I'm like, but we're so obsessed. Like, we tried one thing the first time, and we can't get over it. It really is great, guys. They have 4 convenient locations in Marlborough, Maynard, Wrentham, and Westford. Takeout is available, too. I get a lot of people asking, how do I buy a VIP for the Grace Curley Show? We have not done that yet. We will eventually, but for right now, your best bet is to win the VIP. So go to gracecurleyshow.com, enter your email. I'll pick them out this Friday. I'm hoping to add a lot more names into that bucket. So if you want to join gracecurleyshow.com, it will drop down the Aviva. Enter your email. You'll be good to go. We will be back on the other side with more of your calls. I see you guys lining up. I'm happy to talk about this, immigration, Joe Biden, Texas. I'm thinking about moving to Texas. Every day I wake up, I go Florida or Texas. Which one am I going to choose? 844-500-4242. We'll be back on the other side. This is the Grace Curley Show.
Follow Grace on Twitter at @G_Curley.